and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for the week of August 20th through 26th. Let's get started. We had a really slow sales week this week while our store was on away mode because we were at FlipCon. I'll link our FlipCon video above and in the description box below. We did manage to still have some really good sales this particular week, but we had some challenging things happen to us too. The first 3 sales that we had return requests opened on us. And I don't know if you have this same experience, but return requests for us on eBay, sometimes it feels like they come in threes. I don't know. It's like the curse of the 3 returns. Every time we get a return request, I'm always expecting to get 2 more right after it because it seems like they just come in threes. Let me know in the comments below if that's your experience as well. So that's what happened here. We sold a National Geographic Traveler magazine. It was the May-June 2010 issue. And that sold for $8.49, which was our full asking price. The buyer did apply a coupon. We had sourced this magazine for free on the Nextdoor app. And the buyer contacted us a week or so after we shipped it and said that it looked like it was lost in the mail. And I checked tracking and she was right. It was just kind of stuck in transit. She had opened a case on it as item not received. So I did ask her to wait a day or so to see if, the tracking picked up. I filed a claim through the USPS, but unfortunately it didn't seem to get it moving. She still didn't get the item, and ultimately I ended up giving her a full refund because it appeared that the item was lost in the mail. I did check the tracking when I was making the list of items that sold for this video, and it looks like the item was ultimately delivered. Sometimes that happens. Items just get delayed in the mail and they will eventually make it to the buyer, but it is unfair to the buyer to expect them to wait for who knows how long, past the return window period to wait for that item. So as a seller, sometimes you just have to do what's right by the buyer and refund their money if the tracking is showing that it hasn't been delivered yet. And that's what we did in this case. The buyer did ultimately get their item. It's unfortunate that they didn't come back and leave us positive feedback, which didn't happen in this case. So, that's a little bit frustrating because obviously, we sent the item. It's not our fault that the United States Post Office took so long to deliver it, but that's what happened. That's how we handle situations like that. Let us know in the comments below how you handle situations like that. Sometimes you just can't control the mail service. The next item that we sold was a cabbie women's halter dress that we picked up at an estate sale. We paid $8.37 for it. This item was new with tags. It sold for a full asking price of $44.99. Unfortunately, we did receive a return request on this item as well, stating that the dress did not fit. And we received it back in the exact same condition that we had sent it out in. So we refunded the buyer in full and relisted the item, and it's currently listed in our store. Next up was a more interesting sale and return. This was a vintage Precious Moments Enesco brand holiday train set. We picked this up at an estate sale, and we have a video on that estate sale aptly named after this train itself called Sugartown. We paid $20 for this train set. The train itself was in excellent condition, but the box did have some damage on it, which we disclosed in the listing. And the train sold for a best offer of $119. We shipped it out to the buyer. It was a very large train set, and the box that we shipped it out in was actually an old television box, which, as you know, a TV box is a very sturdy box. We were worried about that train not getting damaged, but we felt very confident about sending it out in a TV box because the cardboard on a TV box is extremely sturdy. Obviously, it has to protect a TV, and it was large enough to accommodate the train. So we felt like that was an appropriate box to send it out in, and we sent it off to her, and she received it. We didn't have any issues, but towards near the end of the return window, we received a return request from her. It was not an item not as described, but she said that she just didn't like it. That was the reason given for returning it. But she also stated that the box was in worse condition than she expected, that we should have had better pictures of it. Now, mind you, we had multiple pictures of the box. I'll show you some of those photos here. And also we had explicitly stated in the listing, although there was a typo, which frustrates me now that I see it, that the box had significant wear. You can see where I put in the listing here, box shows significant wear. I responded back to the return request and said, we are happy to accept your return, but I did point out very nicely that we, had high resolution photos of the box and that we did note in the listing that the box had significant wear. I was just frustrated about that because we had accepted an offer from her on that. We had answered a lot of questions about that item for her. We had taken the item out of the box, retested it to ensure that it was going to meet her standards. We had done a lot of kind of above and beyond things that we really didn't need to do to meet the needs of this buyer. And then for her to claim that we had misrepresented the item was extremely frustrating for me as a seller, because I know that I did not misrepresent the item, and I wanted to defend myself in a very nice and professional way. The other thing that frustrated me very much as a human is that she started out the return request with the sentence, "I have an incurable disease." And I felt that that was just so inappropriate for a return request. I'm sorry that she has an incurable disease. I'm terribly sorry that she has an incurable disease, but I don't understand what that has to do with her returning a train that she decided to purchase. I don't understand what that has to do with the return request at all. And it's frustrating for me also. I also have health challenges, and I just don't understand. I would never bring that into returning an item. I felt like it was her trying to possibly seek a partial refund without having to return the item. And I just felt it was incredibly unprofessional and not at all necessary to include that information. I was very much questioning the entire return request. I was worried that we were going to get negative feedback because we were going to insist that she was going to return that train. We weren't going to give her a partial refund. She had to return the train. Then we got a message back from her later stating that she had to take the train to UPS, have them pack it up for her, and that she thought that the box that we used to send it in was flimsy and inappropriate. A TV box was not an appropriate box to send it in, and that she had had UPS pack it up for her in a more appropriate box. So when I was very curious to see what kind of box UPS was going to send it in that was going to be better than this TV box that we sent it out in. So when we received it back, this is the box that we got it back in. And it was two much more flimsy boxes than a TV box, franken-boxed together and taped with no padding on either side of the train box. There was some padding on either end, keeping it, from sliding up and down, but no padding on either side. So, I didn't complain about that. The train was received back in the same condition that we sent it out in. But I just thought, you are just complaining for complaining's sake. I don't know what you want from me. We're going to give you your full refund back. But she did have to pay for that return shipping, and I'm sure she wasn't happy about that, and I'm sure she was quite shocked at how much it was for her to send that train back to us. That was, kind of the icing on the cake the icing on the sugar train at the end of those 3 returns. I was kind of at the end of my rope. I was like, we better not get any more returns because I'm getting really frustrated. But we didn't, thank goodness. That was it. And now that sugar train is relisted and back in our store, and hopefully it will find a forever home because we don't want to mess with it again. Next up is was an Ozark Trail red, white, and blue inflatable Texas flag float. We got this at a garage sale. We paid $5 for it, and it sold on best offer for $40 even. Next up was the brand was Full, F-U-L, and it was a rolling split level carry-on duffel bag. So it had like a place where you could put your shoes on the bottom and then a duffel part on the top, and it had a telescoping handle so you could roll it through the airport. It was a very nice, high quality, expensive duffel bag that I think retailed for, maybe $175 or something. Don't quote me on that, but it was a very expensive duffel bag. We got this duffel bag at a garage sale. We paid $10 for it, and it sold very, very quickly for best offer of $85.01. And we did get positive feedback on that. Next up was a vintage lot of 22 juvenile mystery books. They included books like Encyclopedia Brown, Cam Jansen, and Bailey School Kids. We got these at various garage sales, but the majority of them came from a garage sale, which I will link above and in the description box below, where we got a large amount of books for free. But a few of the books we did pay for from another garage sale, and our out-of-pocket cost on those were $1 total for all of the books. And those books sold, that lot sold for $30 even on best offer. Next up was a vinyl record. It was ELO's Greatest Hits. We got this at a thrift store. We paid $1.03 for it, and it sold for $34.99. This was a more hard to find vinyl. We did get positive feedback on that. Next up was a lot of 2 Max D Trailer branded baseball hats. They were, one of them was a canvas hat and one of them was a mesh trucker hat. We got these at a garage sale. We paid $1 each for them, so $2 total, and they sold for our full asking price of $19.99, and we did get positive feedback on those. Next up was a new in package pack of bicycle standard size playing cards. They had a neat print on them, so they were really unique and interesting looking. We wouldn't just pick up a very plain set of bicycle playing cards, but these were interesting looking, so we did pick them up since they were new in package. We got these at the same garage sale where we got the Max D hats. These sold for $12.99, and we paid $1 for them. Next up was a Sony remote control for an AV receiver. We tested it and it worked. We got this in a bag of remotes from the thrift store. We paid $1.08 for it, and it sold for our full asking price of $9.99. And actually, I lied. This was another return that we had. This one, we had a return opened as an item not as described, and the buyer stated that the remote didn't work. And I knew good and well that that wasn't true because we test all of our remotes before we send them out, and I had tested this remote personally, and I knew that it worked. So unless it had gotten damaged in shipping, I knew that it worked. So I asked the buyer, did it get damaged in shipping? And I didn't hear anything back from them, which was suspicious. So I did insist that they send the remote back, and I got the remote back and tested it, and it worked. And so I submitted a video of the remote being tested to eBay, stating that the buyer had submitted a false item not as described claim and requested to have my return shipping refunded. I don't know if it was refunded or not. Honestly, I don't know how to easily check that information. I'm sure if I really dug into it, I could figure it out, but I don't know how to easily do that. Let me know in the comments below if you know how to easily follow up on that kind of request, because I I find that I find that eBay doesn't make that easy, and it needs to be easier. So let me know in the comments below if you know an easy way to check up on that information. But the good news is that this remote has since resold, and we did get positive feedback on it. So I do know that the remote did work and the new buyer was happy with it. Next up was a Wonder Woman 3D framed lenticular that we picked up at a garage sale for $1, and it sold for $9.98 on offer to buyer. We got positive feedback on that. Next up was a lot of 38 Magic Treehouse chapter books. We got these at the same garage sale that we got the Wonder Woman lenticular. We paid $10 for these, and they sold on best offer for $30. Next up was a Nike Pro Combat Royal Blue t-shirt that we got at a garage sale for 50 cents, and it sold on best offer for $20. Next up was a pair of men's Nautica linen shorts. These we got at the Goodwill outlet, and we paid 61 cents, and they sold for $17.50 on best offer. And next I'm going to talk about all of my husband's collectible cards that sold for this week. Like I mentioned in previous videos, sometimes we have really slow weeks for card sales, and this was another really slow week. So I mean, this was a slow week for us in general, so that probably had something to do with it, but card sales have just been in a slump lately. We only sold one high value card this particular week, and it was a Magic the Gathering Alliances card called the Helm of Obedience. It sold on auction for $54.99. And then we only sold one low value card, meaning a card valued at $10 or under. It was a 1995 Topps Stadium Club clear cut card, and that sold for $3.99. And that wraps up our What Sold video for the week of August 20th through 26th. If you enjoyed this video, let us know by hitting the like button. And if you're not already subscribed and we earned your subscription with this video, please make sure you subscribe with the notification bell turned on so you can be kept informed of all of our latest content. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the flip side.